Okay, so it's important. So anyway, so this is the Huawei version. I use all of them because, like I said, if you're within Africa, Huawei and Cisco are the big brands. And as I was saying, Huawei seems to be pushing a lot more. If you go to most of Cisco, Vodafone's data centers and MTN's data centers, you notice that chunk of their network equipment are within Huawei and Cisco, but Huawei seems to be a lot more than Cisco. You know what I'm saying? And then if you're within the banks as well, you're gonna notice that a chunk of the devices also revolve within the Huawei as well. You know, so it's about cost over here. Whatever can address a number of needs. But if you're really a bit iffy about China and their communities and invading of privacy issues here and there. So as far as security is concerned, then you might want to basically shift away from them and use the US, the US or the European network devices. The internet today, it's a chunk of it is made up of US and European network devices, the core gateway devices that governs or that runs the internet infrastructure, mostly Cisco, because Cisco started first before some of these Chinese guys came on board. But with time, you can tell that the Huawei is also becoming very prevalent in a lot of places in key network infrastructures across the internet. So I think that the last time I checked, the percentage of what you might call it of network equipment that are owned by the US market is about close to 75%. And then the 25% is split between the Asian market and then the European market. So the US still has a pretty solid grip on our core internet infrastructure. But like I said, with time, you can tell the Chinese are really pushing, man. They're pushing. They're pushing. I think one of the reasons why maybe China is not getting the push that it wants is because of the fact that we have a lot of political friction between the Chinese and then the Americans these days. In terms of security, copyright infringements, that the Chinese seems to be a bit more uh, loose on. They're like loose cannon some of these, and then the developed countries don't want to take it uh, unlikely. Of course, it's the intellectual properties, and they don't want to let the Chinese just steal them like that. So they're pushing the Chinese back to make sure they conform to the regulatory laws that are available or that are around or that govern some of the way uh, the systems have been implemented over the years. Okay, so we're bound to have the US equipment or the Cisco equipment dominate for some time, but with time, yeah, eventually, I think the Chinese will take over. Already in developing countries like Africa, South America, a chunk of the Asian markets are using are using most of the Huawei devices. So you can imagine, it's just the developed countries, the U.S., North American region, the European markets, which is the most if. But since they control a chunk of the internet, uh, uh, key backbone infrastructures, they still have a pretty good grip on it. Anyways, so that's the Huawei one. Like I said, there are varieties depending on the vendor you go with. But we're going with Cisco for now, at least, so we can be able to set up some few things with their software. Okay. One thing that I also wanted to point out is that yes, that's true. Some of the telcos also use Nokia. The European markets are they fall more within the Nokia, the Alcatel, the Lucent, and what have you. Yes, yes, I agree. Yeah, some of the telcos use that as well. And mostly because of the fact that the Alcatel and Lucent are around because of the fact that they were the main bodies that started the network infrastructure within African regions, especially the countries that were colonized within the European, another European regions, when with some of the European brands, the Siemens, the Alcatels, the Nokia, the Lucents, yes, the European markets, yes, I agree. Yes, so those are some of the guys too around. But because of the cost and licensing from these guys, you could tell that the Chinese are trying to And the Huawei's are trying to filter in. They're coming on board gradually, slowly but sure. And like I said, if you go to a chunk of the telcos in Ghana, their data centers, you notice that you see a number of Huawei devices all over their network data centers. If you think, if you look at it, one of the access devices that a chunk of the telcos we have in Ghana uses are made from what? Huawei. Huawei for the most part. Okay, so Huawei is also huge. Some of them are quite robust. They handle the service needs of the various users. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, we have some of the European brands. Good. Like I said, Huawei always are pushing. The TurboNet that MTN offers, it's made by Huawei. Most of Vodafone's routers, purely made by Huawei. A chunk of them are made by Huawei, you know. Anyways, some of you guys are talking about GNS3. Yes, GNS3 is just another one of the applications. That's more of the high-end one. Yes, for professionals, you want to go with the GNS3. It's very, the setup alone is kind of a bit cumbersome, you know. So that's the reason why we're going with Packet Tracer. If I were to ask you guys to set up a GNS3, it would be a huge battle with some of you guys. But Packet Tracer, it's a lot easier, you know. So those of you that are, you know, in the professional level, yeah, GNS3, um, PNets, yeah, even Gs, yeah, those are they're available. But I want us to use the much more comfortable ones that we can be able to set up easily without much of a hassle, okay, without struggling so much. All right. Yeah, but if you're in a professional level, yeah, go with the Genus threes and what have you. They also address the same thing. It's about the same thing. Okay. All right, great. So just like any application, you'd have your various menus from file to help, various icons that you can, you know, use to address your software needs or software uh, uh, preferences and parameters that you have. But the key things revolves within this part of the application here, where you have the various device emulators. So if you click on the network devices, you see your routers. Is that a symbol for routers? And they emulate the various Cisco routers. In this case, from the 4000 series to the 800 series, which are VPN. I have two of these in my network rack, and then I have the 1941 as well. So the two main ones I have in my network rack right now. But anyway, so they emulate all of these key network devices that Cisco has. So from the 4000s, the 3000s, the 2000s, the 1000s, and then the 800 series network devices that Cisco offers. You got them all. Great. And then you do have your end devices from your PCs, your laptop, your servers, a whole bunch of them for IP phones, TVs, smart tablets, printers, sniffers, generic connections, and what have you. So it emulated even the least end device that you could have to that you want to incorporate into your network. It emulated all of that as well. So that makes it exciting. Great. And then you also do have components, you know, to upgrade your boards within some of these devices. It's kind of like changing a board on a PC or whatever. They have some of these components that you can use to upgrade your board of a given router or switch that you'd have that you're using uh, um, for your scenario or whatever, for your emulation or whatever. They got them as well. We also have the cables or the connections. So the various connections, cables that are used to interconnect the devices back and forth from your console cable, your straight through cable, your crossover cables, your fiber, your phone jack, your RJ11 cables, and a whole bunch of them, your DCs, your DTs, what have you. They're all over here. Okay. File and they can emulate the cloud as well. So it's pretty cool stuff. Okay. And when you do click on the network devices, you see another bunch of selections from routers, switches. So you get your switches from 2900 series all the way up to the 30, where are the 3500 series? Okay, they should be hiding somewhere over here. So you do have, yeah, you have a whole bunch of them. We have the Miraki's, what have you, a whole lot of emulations that you got. The firewalls from the ASA 5500 series and what have you. Okay, great. So now this space over here is what you term your environment. So this is kind of like the office space that we want to basically install our network or build or plan our network. So this is called your environment. So you can picture this as your what you call it, your office space, the client office space, and you want to basically simulate how the network is going to be set up and implemented within that office space to address that client's needs. Okay. Let me point out something though. This one of the exciting thing about this application is that without some of these emulators, it wouldn't be quite easy for us to have some of these labs. If we're to actually, without these applications, these vendor-based emulators or simulators, would actually have to have a whole lab, physical lab, where we have the physical routers, the physical switches, the physical PCs, and you guys will be in a confined space where you be assigned to a computer or a switch or a router, where then you have to basically, play around with it, and it can cost a lot of money. And being a student at GTEC or a lecturer at GTEC, I know money is a huge challenge with the university. Hence the reason why we don't even have labs. Can you imagine a whole technology university without a lab for technical courses or programs like IT and computer science, telecom, and engineering stuff? It's just sad. It's terrible. But luckily, we do have some of these softwares to ease up some of those burden. You know what I'm saying? So instead of actually paying so much money and investing so much money in some of those labs, you can use this free application and still get the feel of exactly what the physical devices actually look like or feel like, or even experiment with it anyhow you want and be able to achieve the lasting knowledge that you require for your academic excellence or for your field work or for your professional work, you know. Very good. So we should thankful to whoever designed some of these emulators. I'm guessing the engineers realized that they realized for people to be putting so much thousands of dollars to set up labs just for students or universities for students to be able to learn how to or get a feel of how to configure some of their device settings or play with their environment, it would cost them too much money. So they coming up with some of these applications really did help a lot. You know what I'm saying? So kudos to those guys, the designers of some of these applications. By the way, this application was designed by a third party, and I forgot the name of the business that designed it. It used to be just Packet Tracer, but after some few years that it was picking up steam, Cisco realized that, hey man, who is this? Who is this software designer who built an emulator to simulate all of our network equipment and their environment? So what they do, they made an offer, like a smart business at Cisco. They made that developer a deal he couldn't refuse by buying his application with so much money. It was worth millions of dollars. That Cisco bought it from the guy, and then they attached their name to it, Cisco Packet Tracer. But before there was just Packet Tracer, So like I said, kudos to Cisco. It's a business mind, business concept. The same way some of you need to also do that in the future. When you have competitions, you realize somebody's really doing a good job and trying to basically maybe get steep to your business competition, make them an offer they can refuse. Okay, you can buy them out, so you can add them to your business and grow your business much wider. Today, most of the big giants, most of the big corporations out there are doing the exact same thing. Look at Facebook. Facebook bought WhatsApp, right? Facebook bought WhatsApp. Why? Because WhatsApp seems to be prevailing. It was going to give competition, especially when it comes to text messaging and other social interactions. It was giving a competition. So what do they do? Like a smart business, they bought WhatsApp out. The same way with Microsoft buying Skype, you know, for video conferencing or what have you. These are just business uh, uh, models. Money stops nonsense. I like that. Money stops nonsense. That's a good one. If you have the money, buy all the businesses out and then let them be under you. So you can basically control them and have them under your name, you know. And it's a good business model. So somebody have the money, like what McDonald is doing today. McDonald is just buying our business today, you know. McDonald, right? The business group that's all over the place these days, from logistics to now owning furniture stores and other decor stores in the country. Yeah, this is just business mind. That's all. If the guy's gonna give you competition, buy him out. Let him be under you. So your business can become much more bigger and much more incorporated, becomes a big group, that you can run and make much more profit, bigger profits. Great. So this is the environment, and we're gonna have some simple implementation to get started with. Okay. Now to start out with, let's say we have an organization with two departments. I'm gonna use finance and HR to be the two main units that we're gonna have within the client's business. Okay. I'm gonna label that. I got finance. So you guys can follow along. If you have your machines in front of you, follow along, okay? So we can all play around along the same thing or be on the same page. So I got finance department, and then we're gonna have the HR department, human resource department. Okay, so this is our two main department that we have within the business or within organization that we're trying to set up the network for. Okay. And we want to incorporate, the network devices now. First of all, let's bring in our switches. I'm going to be using the 2960s. I love the 2960s. They're 24-port switch with 2 uplink for gigabits, transmission, and what have you. So I'm going to use one of these and one of that. To incorporate the devices into your environment, you just click on them and you drop, click and drop, click and drop. So I have the finance department with their own switch, and then the HR department with their own switch. Okay. Now I'm going to introduce the end devices. Okay, the end devices are your computers. So I'm going to go to computers, PCs, 1 PC, 2 PC, 3 PC, maybe 1 laptop, 2 laptops, and then maybe 1 server. Yes. So finance department has got a server. Maybe they want to use that server to house some of their finance softwares, like a Sage application, or what's the other one? It's either Sage or what's the famous, the popular one they've been using these days? Guys, where are you? I know there's Sage, and then there's this one. Oh, I forgot the name. Anyways, Tally, there you go, Tally. That's it. That's it. Tally, yes. Yes, I've been setting up for some of my clients over the years. So yeah, Tally and Sage are the most popular accounting softwares that Ghanaians use a lot, Even whatchamacallit, what's the name? Malcolm. Malcolm uses Tally a lot for some of the accounting systems. I've set some of them up for some of the subsidiary companies before, so I know. And there's a few other clients here and there. Okay, so they're gonna want to have some of this on their servers. And then let's go to the HR department. So the same scenario, PC1, PC2, PC3, laptop 1, laptop 2, laptop 3, 3 laptop, 3 PCs, and then the server as well. So they can house maybe a CRM or an intranet or a client or staff-based software, so whatever it is. Somebody is asking what is Tally. It's an accounting software, Masa. It can handle a lot of things. It's not just accounting really. It can also handle inventories as well as stockings and what have you. So if you have an organization handling inventories of various types and whatever, can handle their needs, including customer-based needs as well. So it's pretty volatile. It's an ERP in a way. So it has various modules built into it, depending on which ones you subscribe for, and they're license-based. So depending on which license you want to add to it, it'll give you that volatility, that scalability that you need, so you can be able to add various elements. So it's more or less an ERP system, an enterprise resource planning system that houses accounting softwares, inventories, and other services, customer-based services, manage your clients, and what have you. It's quite robust, okay? That's what it is. Anyway, so it's our environment over here. So we have two separate networks, or two separate network departments. We want to create two separate networks for them as well, even though they're two different units within the same organization. We want them to have separate networks. So let's say we want the HR or the finance department to be on network. So this is a network 192.168.1.0/24. So the finance department is on the class C private IP address network, which has got a 192.168.1.0/24. So 24 minutes using that entire 8-bit allocated for the node. Are we good? So the 24 means that out of the 32 bits, 24 bits have been switched on. Since that's the default for class C, we want to use that, okay? And then the HR part would also want to use another network. In this case, they want to go with the same class C by 192.168.2.0/24. So those are network planning over here. We got HR having a .2 network, and then finance having a .1 network. Okay, folks? Okay, so the guys that are following along, I'm just using this text over here. This is, if you want to type something, you use this. If you want to delete something, you use that. So put a cursor on some of these icons over here. It will tell you what exactly to do, okay? If you want to edit something, I want to edit this, just click on it using that right there, okay? Edit, delete, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I have this. I've basically said to myself, I want to basically structure this network in this order, okay, for the client. Now, after this, what's the next thing you do? As a designer, as a network engineer, what's the next thing that you do? Anybody type that real quick? What's the next thing you do after you have this devices set up or put together? What do you do next? Yes, you get your cables. You go for the cables and start connecting them. Okay, so this is kind of like run the cables from the rack to the various points that the PCs and the laptop or the end devices are going to be connected to or connecting from. Okay, so let's go to our connections and pick our cables. We're going to be using a lot of the straight through cables. Okay, so to connect the cables, you just click on the one that you want to use. In this case, I'm clicking on the straight to cable. And once you show it to the environment, it shows the diagram. See, so you have the RJ45 on one end, letting you know that you've picked a network cable or an Ethernet cable, and you're about to basically connect it to a device, okay? Now, to connect to any of the devices, you click on a device. Like in this case, I'm going to click on a switch. And when I do click on a switch, it will give me the various ports that a switch has got. So the switch has got 24 ports. So ports 01 all the way up to 024 for fast Ethernet, which is 10 by 100 megabits per second. And then you have 2 uplinks for your uplink connection, which are gigabits. So these are 1,000 megabits per second. Sorry, that 1,000 bits, 1 gig, so it's 1,000 meg per second, okay? And these are purely 10 by 100 megabits, sorry, meg per second, okay? Yeah, megabits per second. Great. So we click on the first port. That means the cable is been, or the RJ45 has been connected to that particular port. And we go to the PC or the end device, click on it as well, and then find its interface, Ethernet interface. Click on it, and it's connected. So now the connection has been established between the switch and then the PC. So you do that for all the other devices as well. Pick, click, pick, connect. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Pick and click. Pick and click. Pick and click. Great. So everybody on the same page with me now? Are we all on the same page? Maybe let me unmute you guys so we can actually interact a bit more. Okay, you guys, you can unmute yourselves so we can interact a lot more. So everybody on the same page with me?
It's very...
Okay. Yeah, we're following.
It's very what?
We are following and we are enjoying, sir.
Okay, that's great. That's good. Okay, great. So now let's do the same thing for the, well, let's finish the server as well. Let's try to connect server as well. So server, I want to pick the last 24 ports. Okay, so I have all of my end devices connected over here to the switch. And then let's do the same thing for the, most of us are without our laptops, but we're following. Really? Okay, as long as you're following, you can, do this on your own. By the way, all of these stuff have already been done on the YouTube channel. So if you go to the course page, oh, sorry, the YouTube channel, they're already there.
Oh, good.
So if you miss out, the videos are already up here. Okay, I've already done a chunk of it already.
I will make my head go.
Yeah, so there are 4 parts. Part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. They're all over here. Okay, from the design layout using a diet application, so the actual implementation and what have you, but then the Cisco packet tracer, they're all over here already. Okay, so you can just watch the videos if you don't have your laptop with you or to follow along. Okay, it's always available to you. Okay, so now let's connect this side as well. Same process. Pick and drop, pick and click.
That's why they play. Nice track. Village boy.
Pick and click, pick and click. I'm just picking and clicking. But those of you managing your, handling some part of your organization's network infrastructure, this is a good, exercise for you. So you can learn some of these things that you might have gotten a chance to play around with. Okay. Okay, so we do have